Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. Neil Pickup, the fat lad, with you in the mother fluffing house. And for those of you who saw part one with this guy, he'll need no introduction. If you didn't catch that, link is in the description. Ladies and gents, I am sat with the Arnold Classic champion and the legendary figure from North America that is Greg Gray. Now, if you've watched that first part and you're just coming back here now, we're going to pick up where we left off. For those of you who've seen it, we're going straight back into the action with Greg. First, though, we'll get some niceties out of the way. How's life over there, mate? Everything, a lot going on in America. When you turn on the TV over here, it looks like it's all going off over there.
Well, it's been crazy. I mean, everything's good here. With the new leadership, it looks like travel's going to be a little bit tougher now, which is, man, it's not. I worry about, the competitions and stuff coming up in the next, even year. I just don't see it getting any better,
Yeah, it's looking, certainly over here, we're in the eye of the storm at the moment. We're the worst we've ever been. I don't know how that compared with a lot of the other countries, but I can't see us getting out of lockdown at all, really, on a national level till probably at least spring, April, May, which is kind of depressing. When you're allowed to do anything.
I don't even see it here until maybe the end of the year. But who knows? No, but since our interview, I never knew that saying that I didn't care so much about my family would make it so that I couldn't eat anymore. My wife stopped cooking for me. I'm surviving off of burritos and milk now. It's
be a lot of burritos and milk, mate. You look like you've put another 10 pounds on your right forearm. But I noticed you took a bit of stick in the comments on that, but I think it's I think context is.
I know. People are hilarious. One guy commented like, "Well, Greg doesn't love his family," and I forgot their names, but I really like those people.
Look, they're going to love you even more, and I'm sure you're going to catch a bit of thunder as we go on through this episode, mate. But we just started to walk through some of the North American arm wrestlers who your name's been bandied about with, guys who you could conceivably see a match. And I want to start with a really loud and entertaining one, and see what your thoughts are here, because he's been quite outspoken about you in the past. What about my good friend, Jeff the Hail Razor Hale?
Jeff Hale.
How do you see Jeff, mate?
Well, I mean, I think his style is probably the best style against mine. So I think he's got a decent shot at beating me. Mm-hmm. He was bragging so much about the time he beat me. He beat me twice in a tournament. And, all I can say, Jeff, that was left-handed. Left-handed is not right-handed. I didn't get the full in right-handed. And that was before I really kind of, made things click. And at the time, even my left hand was stronger than my right hand at that time. But now my right hand is so much more powerful than my left. I don't see. I've pulled against hookers since then, and I've figured out. There was a little sweet spot where I thought that a hooker could probably pull me in every time, but I don't. I think I figured that part out.
I'm interested to dig into that a little bit further, mate. Obviously, you say that you think that Jeff's style is the most complicated from the guys currently on the roster for you. What is it about his style that not concerns you, but that would make you say that? Is it the speed? He's very explosive. Is it the short lever and the deep hook? What is it?
It's the short lever, the deep hook. My style is a little bit complicated, I think, for a lot of people. I'm very good at stopping a top roll. I'm not great at stopping a hook. But I have worked on preventing getting into a hook. If he gets me into a hook, he's got a pretty good shot. But which is strange because, I have huge biceps, but I don't train hook all that much. I mean, if anything, I'm probably a high hooker.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Jeff is with that short lever, it makes him a very awkward man to pull against. And the explosivity and his ability to find a hook is very high. Obviously, we've seen him have some great results. And the man I'm going to move on to next gave him some problems when he looked like he was really on the ropes. And that's Sam Harris. Obviously, the current hammer holder. Disputed by some people because of the situation with Tony. But as everybody knows, Tony missed weight that day. Sam's been on an impressive tear in the World Arm Wrestling League. Apart from that one upset against Tony, he was certainly as worthy as anyone. How do you see Sam Harris? Do you think he's overrated, underrated, right on point? Where is he for you?
Well, I mean, I don't think he's overrated. I mean, he's proved himself over and over. When I first got back into arm wrestling, I pulled him at that UAL 8. Okay. And I was just blown away with the size of his hand. I mean, his hand is huge. His hand it seemed bigger than Alan Fisher's to me. So if you can get around Sam's hand, I think it's pretty easy from there. My technique, now, a big hand doesn't bother me at all. I feel like, his hand is really the only thing he has. But that hand of his is dominant in the class. I think that, I don't believe that, I don't believe his style is something that I can't stop.
I mean, Jeff Hale, after he pulled Sam, one of the things that he said to me was that he believed that Sam was much more difficult to arm wrestle against, specifically in WAL, because he'd done a lot of work on the style, the setups, the nuances, cadence of the referee, you name it, he'd got it dialed in. And he seemed to think that he'd perfected his own technique around the World Arm Wrestling League system and rules, and that it was a very tall order in that organisation, and he thought it'd be easier to beat if he wasn't in that organisation. Have you given any thought to that, mate? Does it concern you? When you look at sort of what you've seen from World Arm Wrestling League and how the setups go, how the thing is structured, firstly, have you sort of done any training around that at all? Practiced around that kind of style? Or do you have any concerns about that? Do you think it would favour you or not so much?
I think it favors me. I kind of, the WAL style to me seems like you're almost like a running start. You're going before they even say go.
To some extent, I can see where you're coming from, yeah.
The regular WAF rules, it's completely no load. Like if you pull Dan Mosier, he's completely relaxed, completely no load. Mm-hmm. Jeff Hale is also completely no load. And they're able to get into that power quickly. The thing that I like, I pulled a few Travis Badgett tournaments, and Travis does, very much like the WAL rules. And, I love loading from the start. People have a really difficult time matching my load. So if I'm already, kind of loading, I mean, WAL start is, you're pretty much going even before they say go. Mm-hmm. And I like that. I think that, it helps me because I'm not very fast. I'm very, and I'm pretty strong in the setup.
Yeah, you spoke about you believe that you've refined your ability to slow down fast hitters and contain awkward arm wrestlers. Now, do you think that will assist you in the World Arm Wrestling League from a stylistic perspective? Do you think that style sort of complements what you're seeing in the WAL?
Oh, absolutely. And that's why I think, even pulling against Jeff, I don't see, his no load start helping.
Is it sort of a pronator heavy thing, mate? Are you controlling the pronation? Is that what you're working on to slow these guys down? Because I know you went to pains in the first episode about how you've developed this. It's been an evolution within your training, within your style of arm wrestling. What changed specifically to get you to that point, mate?
It's being able to mobilize my hand and like I said, I mean, whenever someone sets up against me, they're in the setup and they feel like their hand is paralyzed. They can't even move it. They can't pronate. They can't supinate. And that's intentional. I've developed my hand, enough so that, I can get it locked in here, and it takes a lot to move it from any position at all.
Mm-hmm. Now, going back to... Sorry, go.
I was saying once I get that lock, then, my technique is a high hook, so I've really only got to go here. Once I get this, most people just cave.
What about straps? Do you prefer them or not?
Oh, God, yeah. Yeah,
I was just going to say off the back of that, it sounds like you'd be leaning towards a strap. I used to love the strap. I wouldn't say that I necessarily was specifically looking for them, but I loved them. If somebody
I don't even practice out of the strap. I don't practice out of the strap. Every practice, I'm in the strap every time.
Interesting.
Because, whenever I set up with anyone, because of my technique, I know we're going to slip. Mm-hmm. If you're pulling a top roller or a high hooker, they're always, doing this finger bullshit, and what I love about the strap is it stops you. It makes you have to really arm wrestle and not do this finger fuck game.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting, because I know Sam's certainly very good on the reversing counter top roll. That's something that do you think he would, it is practically impossible to get out of your hand once you're in the groove, once you're in your move? Do you feel like you're very, very difficult to counter?
If you watch my matches, yeah. Once I've got my hand locked in, I don't lose. I don't lose my wrist. If someone's arm is stronger than mine, that's their only possibility. But again, I'm not trying to seem like, oh, I'm the strongest guy ever, but I've got a strong arm, and it takes a lot to move it over it. And even though I've got these tiny wrists, they're locked up pretty good. People used to, even on I think it was your YouTube video, people were talking about how I have a weak wrist and all that other stuff, and I used to have a really weak wrist. I don't now, though. That was the weak link. Once I developed my wrist to be able to hold, so much, it really kind of just put everything together.
Yeah, and the wrist is really interesting, isn't it? Because it's one of those things that in combination, it's no good being able to just do wrist curls and isolated wrist curls and wrist work in an isolated fashion. You've got to be able to join it up in the movement, and it sounds like that's where your confidence is coming from. It sounds like the positioning in the setup is giving you much more on the wrist, so you're not having to protect it. You don't sound to me like you're hanging on to guys. You sound like you're putting up blocks. It'd be really interesting to see, and it actually leads into the next area I want to go. Obviously, we spoke about some of the North American lads, and I'll come back to a couple of those later on as well. But there's a number of Europeans that are on the fringe of the WAL as well. Two that are pulling in there. Big names, big reputations. I'm going to start with potentially the biggest name and biggest reputation from amongst them, and that will be Giannis the Jedi Amelins. Hammer holder elect. He's the guy that most people think should get the shot. I'm pretty sure he will get the shot next out. Giannis Amelins, talk to me about him. What do you see in Giannis?
I think Giannis is probably, I think he's the smartest guy in the class. I think he's got the highest table IQ of anyone. I was watching the video yesterday, and he was talking about, getting stronger. And, that guy is so versatile. I think, whatever position you get him in, he knows a way to get out of it. Mm-hmm. Can he get out of it? I don't know. But he knows a way.
How do you see his strength, Greg? Do you think he's one of the stronger men in there, or do you think he's more technically focused than anything else?
I think it's a little both. The guy's dangerous. It's funny because I watch, I actually watch his videos, and I train, do a lot of my gym training based on things that he does, him and
okay.
and some other people, Daniel, I can't pronounce his name, the 55 kilogram guy. Yes. Oh my God, that guy, he's very good. I love watching their videos because their training is top. And I copy and follow a lot of their stuff. So I think Giannis is man, that's a tough draw right there. I'd rather have Sam Harris. I'd rather have Jeff Hale over Giannis if I'm trying to make it to the next round, you know.
Do you believe that Giannis will be the hammer holder by the time you get a shot? You would think he's going to pull Sam Harris next out. If and when we're over COVID, if he gets that match, do you see Giannis taking the hammer from Sam?
God, you know, that's the thing. You know, I hope the league has a series this year. I'm not ruling anything out. I just don't see Europeans being a part of it. So, you know, am I really focused and studying, you know, them and paying attention to what they're doing? I'm not really. It's probably short-sighted on my part. I'm not very optimistic of how things are going to be open. But to answer your question, you know, like you kind of mentioned, you know, Giannis has lost matches that he shouldn't have lost.
Yeah.
You know, like he said, he didn't compete in 2018. I don't think Giannis has the fire and motivation that, you know, that I do, you know, certainly. You know, I haven't, you know, held a hammer. You know, I'm still, you know, I'm an old guy, but I'm out there proving something right now. Giannis has nothing to prove. The guy's, you know, a multiple-time world champ. There's not a lot in it for him to prove. He's maintaining his strength. Is he getting stronger? I don't know. I don't think he's getting stronger at the rate I am. You know, I'm going to be stronger, you know, in 3 months than I've ever been. You know, I'm stronger now than I've ever been. I don't think Giannis is going to be stronger in 3 months than he was a year ago.
Very interesting. I mean, it's sort of like a counter to what everybody would think. With you being the older guy there, you'd think that your motivation had waned a little bit. But it's interesting that you speak about it in that way. And let's be honest, we've seen some resurgent characters in later life. I mean, you know, you can name a number of them. I mean, two from the same crew. You'd have to go with Bresner and Klember straight off the bat. Pulled very, very late into the careers, really, really well. Ron Bath, you know, no spring chicken for some great arm wrestling matches that Ron's been involved in. And the other one that's absolute standout's got to be Todd Ziller.
Yep.
You
know, I
know.
I think Todd is 55.
It's like 53 or something like that. I don't know, maybe 54, but you know, he's certainly early to mid 50s and has looked incredible in his last couple of outings in the World Arm Wrestling League. Absolutely incredible.
Well, that's the great thing about the sport. You know, you get stronger as you know, that whole old man strength. But, you know, as you get older, your tendons become less stringy and spongy and stretchy. You know, the harder and more solid and more damaged and fucked up your tendons are, the harder it is to open that up. You know, you know, and I've, you know, again, I was out of the sport. I was in it for 10 years and I was out of it for, you know, 10 or so, and I've been back in it 6. So, you know, you look at a guy like Giannis who's been just, you know, as he said, at the top of the mountain for all these years, man, it gets exhausting. So, am I counting on him not being motivated so that I can win? No, I'm not. But I do believe that I have more potential at this point than he does. Yeah. Because I'm not as tired and injured, you know, and everything else, because I feel fresh because I just started again, even though, you know, it's been 6 years. I feel like I'm just getting started. Yeah, so you're very much invigorated by the rest, by the time out. Yeah. Interesting. Now then, the next guy I'm going to go with he's got that X factor. Very well known, but perhaps not as well known in some respects, because
we know that he's suffered serious injuries for the last couple of years, and he now looks like he's at least getting over those, and we could see the very best of him. And you spoke about someone who's motivated and got that point to prove. I think nobody sort of embodies that more than Tom Holland. Very, very tall lad as well, at sort of over 6'4", and at that class that makes him really awkward. And yet he hooks. Very fast and deep hook. Now, he's not been able to use his top roll for a number of seasons, which, speaking to Tom, he thinks has been terrible for him. All his prior World Arm Wrestling League matches, he was completely unable to top roll. He tried it out against Jeff Hale, did really well for a couple of rounds, and destroyed his arm again back with the old injury. So he then completely left it alone. Now, what was evident to us over here in the UK was how much damage Tom had done, because he completely stopped competing on his right arm in any UK events. So all of the tournaments where he'd previously been so active, and the international events, he just didn't compete at all for sort of a 2.5, 3 year period on the right arm, outside of the World Arm Wrestling League. So he was doing nothing, and then going and competing, and then doing nothing, and then going and competing, right up to the Giannis match. Now, post that, seems to be reinvigorated. We're seeing Tom come out and about, and he's back into it and super, super hungry. Hey, where does he stack in, mate? Do you see Tom as a threat, or do you think that he's not got much more he can do there?
God, I see everybody as a threat. I mean, I feel like everybody wants a shot at me, because they, because they think I'm the easy guy to beat. But Tom, I've been following him, and Tom seems like a super cool guy. I've been following him on Instagram and looking at that, looking at the competitions he's got with Freud, and it's funny because every one of their things that they've competed against and shown their numbers, I think I've outperformed them on just about everyone except for a couple. So it's just gym work. But do I think I'm stronger than Tom? I do think I am. It's funny, you think he would have the leverage advantage, but because if he's pulling in a hook, he doesn't. He doesn't have the leverage advantage any longer. It puts him at a disadvantage. So he's got to be super, super strong in a hook, more than a guy with a short arm, like Jeff. So again, I think I believe I keep saying it, and I don't. I'm not trying to be cocky. There's a few guys or a couple guys I think I'm going to have a really tough time against. I think style-wise, I still think my high hook outperforms Tom's hook. And if he tries to top roll, it's going to be a mistake. You don't want to top roll against me. I hate to tell everybody, the secret, but you can't top roll me.
Now, next two guys that I'm going to bring out, and we'll do them in order, starting with North America. Another guy that's on the fringe, and he's come into the sport in the World Arm Wrestling League, had a great result against Jeff Hale, got mixed response about it. He was teed up for another match against Jamie Sheldon, who I know you know very well, and we'll get to Jamie. But what about Adam Wilmot, the Angry Bird? Top roll specialist, really. Does that count him out?
What's that?
Does that count him out a little bit in your mind in terms of how effective he could be with you?
Yeah, I think anybody who's going to try to top roll me is not going to be in a good position. So for guys that are deciding the match, just set me up with a top roller, a great top roller, But again, I can isolate your hand. I can completely eliminate your pronator. If you can't pronate, you can't top roll. And it's so funny, that back pressure competition that is going around right now.
Yep.
It's so funny because I never practiced just straight back pressure. I always back pressure and pronate. And my side pressure is probably 50% stronger than my back pressure. So you got a top roller who's just trying to backload and roll over, a lot of times they're not protecting their side pressure. So everything is focused on going back, and if you push them over just a little bit, they're done. So, I have a tremendous amount of side pressure. Much like, I'm not saying I'm as strong as Todd Zilla, but I feel like it's the same sort of side pressure movement that Todd has.
Yeah, so very aggressive and awkward for your opponent, really. Yeah. What about your involvement in that? If you lose your hand, can you continue it, Craig? If somebody did compromise your hand, does it matter to you or not so much?
That's where I was going, yeah. It does matter. It makes it a little more difficult, but, side pressure is side pressure. I'd much rather just push through it. But if I lose my wrist, I can still push through it. It's a lot easier just to do this and have them just collapse, because if they've got your hand like this, it gives them an advantage. But I can still push them over. Again, like I said, my side pressure is measurable at 50% stronger than my back pressure.
Wow, well, that is unusual. I think I don't think there's many people out there, with the possible exception of Todd, that would be in that kind of realm. I think most people would tend to be back pressure focused, back pressure heavy, and then probably 60-70% of that they can apply through the side, Yeah, quite unique. Is that intentional, mate, or was it just God-given gift?
Well, my first go around, I was a presser. So I think I developed a lot of side pressure. But a lot of it was using my tricep. So it was a lot of tricep press. Now it's a lot of, brachialis and tricep and chest and everything just locked in together. When I do my side pressure exercise, I do it on a wrist wrench too. So I'm high hooking while I'm going sideways. It took a long time to develop it. So there's a lot of work into it. So I would say it's something I've developed. Like I said, when I practice back pressure, I never just practice straight back pressure. I'm always pronating when I'm doing my back pressure, because that's where you're going anyway. You know?
Now let's go to one more name, and I know this one will spark your interest a little bit. You said about matching you up with a great top roller. Arguably, no greater opportunity to do that than with Mindaugas Terasaitis from Lithuania. Very, very confident young man.
Oh, I know.
Guy you're familiar with. Guy that's spoken about you and the rest of the North American upper brass pullers a number of times. Not necessarily shown too much respect for them outside of, I think, Justin Bishop, who he seems to rate. But outside of that, not too concerned about anyone else. But very much a purist top roller, one of the best. How's that match going, mate? How do you see Mindaugas?
What he did to Jeff Hale at the Arnolds was impressive. It just shows he's got a strong wrist. I don't believe he has a good bicep. I'm not sure of his side pressure. He was talking about how he went right through me on the table afterwards. The Arnolds is a 2-day match, is a 2-day event. I took like 5 or 6 a leave before the finals at the Arnolds just to make it through. I was in so much pain. My bicep tendon snapped about 2 months after that. So I don't think after pulling me is any sort of gauge of how a match is going to go. When you pull somebody, even you've mentioned it, if you have the difference between winning and losing is ounces. It's ounces of pressure. If you have 1 ounce of pressure more than that guy this way, you're going to win. It doesn't take much. When I pulled him afterwards, I was probably about 25% of what my real strength is on fresh start. I think Mindaugas is going to be surprised. I would love to pull Mindaugas. I think he is probably one of the favorites. I think that Tony would beat Mindaugas. I don't think Mindaugas believes that. So, you know, give me Mindaugas. I got no problem with that at all.
That would be, I mean, that's a really ballsy thing to say. Because a lot of people would automatically look to swerve him. Because he's a guy that's coming in, and you're sort of going to be perceived a little bit in his mind as the stepping stone. Because whoever he gets first, he probably thinks, he's been very open. Mindaugas said, look, I'm not coming to have one match. I'm coming to take the hammer, however many matches that takes. And he's not really concerned about who he has to face in order to do that. We spoke to him went for sort of the threat of Giannis and said, does Giannis pose a real threat? And he said, not really. No, I'm not too concerned about that. I've done that before, been there, done that, got the T-shirt, and I believe I can do it again. Which is extremely confident for anybody to make that assumption. Didn't sort of dismiss Giannis's chance, but just believes he has a greater one.
Sure.
Well,
Mindaugas thinks I have no chance. But Mindaugas hasn't felt my power. I would rather have, I would rather take out the guy that is going to be the biggest threat, because I'm going to be freshest at my very first match. My match three weeks later, I'm not going to be as fresh. It takes me a while to recover. I'm going to be more ready. I would rather be at my strongest and take out young Mindaugas than anyone. I just want to take him out and then move on to the next guy.
Hell of a statement there, isn't it? Whoever, if he was to beat you, if you were to beat him, it's a real statement. It's coming in, if you were to come in and get a match of that magnitude straight off the bat, maybe for the people who are watching at home who aren't hardcore arm wrestling fans, yeah, it'd go over their heads. But for the hardcore guys, they'll be like, okay, that's a big result.
Yeah, I promise you, if I pull Mindaugas and I get the win, no one is going to ever doubt me again. So just go ahead. Let's just get it over with.
That's a very accurate statement, mate. I think sort of underlining legitimacy. There's no, let me just decline that call. Yeah, in terms of underlining legitimacy, I don't think there can be any doubt whatsoever on what you just said.
Yeah.
If you were to beat Mindaugas Terasatus, that's a statement right there, mate. You've skywritten it, no doubt about it. Now, from a guy that's been a bit nasty on occasion to you, I think, let's go to one that's nice. Jamie the Natural Sheldon.
Yeah, Jamie. Jamie's trying to fool everybody. He's got his crew. Jamie's so nice. You gotta love Jamie. I love Jamie, by the way. But he's got Luke Kent, he's got Jeff Hale and Jamie. Those three guys are their team. I love Jamie. Jeff, Luke's a cool guy. I want to take out all three of them. Me, I would love to have a crew. Not a lot of people like me, so I'll do it by myself. Yeah, I'll take out all three of them.
Why do you say that? Not a lot of people like me. That's not, I think, is that just you're not spoken? I know that at the end of the last show, you put some comment on there, like one of your friends had said, "Oh, were you your real self?" And you said, "I was on my best behaviour till like the last 5 minutes." And then, but we want to see the real Greg. So I don't mind a guy that said, if you think you can win, why the hell not? You just got to back it up, which I feel like you want to do. You've just called out Mindaugas Terasatus. That's big.
Well, it's so funny, you're getting the comments, and the people that the most haters are the guys in Texas. I live in Texas. I guess I'm a Texan, but I'm not like a real conservative Republican, Texan. I'm more liberal, so a lot of people hate. Especially in Texas, a lot of arm wrestlers are conservatives, and I'm more on the liberal side, like Mike Aiello's always giving me shit, I love Greg, even though he's a liberal piece of shit.
I know, you say the guys in Texas have got a problem with you. Obviously, I saw that who the hell was it against? There was a match posted the other day, And Bart Woodford. Who was it?
Against Tony Katowski.
Against Katowski, okay. And I saw Matt Craig jumped on there and said, "Is that a joke?" Tony would run through.
I was hoping you wouldn't say his name. If you say his name 3 times, that little fucker might show up. Me and Matt.
Thinking it, you and Matt have got some beef then.
I don't want to. God, I honestly, I really don't want to go into it too much. But let's just say Matt and I don't see eye to eye on a lot of things.
Yeah.
He became part of that Texas league and just said that just dumbest bullshit. He attacked one of my teammates, and I stood up for my guy, and so Matt attacked me, and just kind of went on from that. And then Matt, they call him the mouth. The guy won't shut his fucking mouth. Just shut the fuck up. He's talking about how he beat me in 2014 at a fucking practice. He emailed, the fucking WAL, bragging about how he beat me in practice. Who fucking cares? And the dude, his right fucking sucks. Okay, you beat me left-handed when you weighed 40 pounds more than me. Big fucking deal. Anyway, not friends with Matt. There's a few other guys that are in my weight class. And Matt's like, oh, Greg's not even the 3rd best in Texas. I mean, how many people I have to fucking beat? So, and then
who are the guys who are the guys that the claim is that can beat you in Texas? Who are these guys? Obviously, they're not on the list.
One of them was Jason Tarver, and I beat him fairly easily, and that's
I was going to say you just pulled it, didn't you?
Yeah. And then right after that, another one challenged me. And, like I said, last time, anybody wants to challenge me, sponsor the match for $500, give me 2 weeks and we'll fucking pull. Was
that Daryl Draper?
Daryl's the other. Daryl's very good.
Mm-hmm.
The last time we pulled, he did beat me. But that was like 3 or 4 years ago, I'm not the same guy I was 3 years ago. Daryl's a super nice guy. Daryl's brother is not. I have no problem pulling Daryl or anybody. I'm not gonna, sideline, my progress and gains, for nothing though. I wanna, get stronger. I don't want to, like I said last time, I don't want to just sit around fucking pulling every jackass, in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
I got more important things to do.
Yeah, clearly your aspirations lie elsewhere, and you're looking to climb the ladder big time. And you can't be knocked for that, mate. To be perfectly honest, who are the other guys in North America that you feel at that weight class are overlooked? Obviously, you spoke about the guys in Texas. Are there any others that are on your sort of radar? We hear a lot of people talk about Ezzy Worden, as being, and obviously Ezzy's a very strong guy. Do you know of Ezzy? Is he a guy that you're familiar with?
I've heard of him. I haven't really seen a lot of him, though. I don't think he competes that often.
No, I've not seen him compete too often either. But I know that when I have seen Ezzy, he's been an impressive puller. He's one of those guys that's sort of like a dark force, and he has his real backers, people out there that really believe in Ezzy, which you've got to, that tells you something about the guy straight off the bat,
Well, I think Oleg out of California, that guy is
he's the real
super
deal.
strong. Yeah, that guy is definitely on everybody who weighs around 180 pounds. That guy's on your radar. He's very good.
See, I had him as a middleweight, although would he be looking to get to the sort of 65, 76 type of environment?
I've communicated with him, I don't really know him, but every now and then you message somebody, and I think he walks around about 185, which is not a hard cut to 165. I think if the WAL said, "Hey, you want to pull lightweights?" he'd be like, sure. But I think he would do well in the 198 class also. I think he's got because he's one of those guys who's not really, he's not. If you're going to pull 195 class, you need to weigh 210. And he's not there. I think in probably 2 years he'll be that heavy. So I think if it's coming up this year, then I'd put him in the lightweight class.
Yeah, Oleg's on my radar without a shadow of a doubt. I've been watching him for some time now. Very impressive, very versatile. Seems like the real deal.
Yeah.
Without a shadow of a doubt. Anybody else out there, mate, in the sort of lightweights that you'd be interested in arm wrestling or that you've been sort of seeking out?
I mean, everybody we've kind of mentioned. If we're talking North America, of course, everybody wants a shot against Sam right now. I'd love to pull Luke. I'd love to pull Jamie. I think I'd have a hard time pulling Jeff, but I'd still love to do it. I think Jeff is probably the guy that has the greatest chance of beating me. But Oleg, I think his style is his style isn't that much different than mine. So I think it would be a good power match. And Tony, yeah, I don't know about Tony, man. He's looking good.
Yeah. If Tony can get healthy again, Tony's big thing is just the injuries, isn't it? Have you heard any updates on Tony? I mean, I want Tony on the show, actually.
I mean, I've seen him working out. I know he's doing a lot of heavy lifting, so I think he's doing well.
Good.
I saw him working legs, so I don't know how his weight's doing.
Yeah.
Every time I see an arm wrestler working legs, I'm like, okay, yeah, go ahead, work those legs, get this thing bigger.
Yeah, I mean, he's the one guy that obviously he's had the continuing weight issues, but he's one of the guys that could genuinely, he did have the power to carry it up to that bigger weight class. Along with Paul Talbot, but Paul you could sort of understand more because frame-wise he's huge. He looks like a middleweight, It must have killed him to get down to the weight class. Whereas Tony, obviously, frame-wise, he's lightweight all day, but god damn, he's got some packed onto that frame, hasn't he?
Yeah, he does. I think I'm probably a little bit taller and wider than him, but he's got so much muscle. But he did well at 188 also. And if, there's that whole thing, you look at, Bill Loxton. Bill is like 10 times stronger at 198 than he is at 176, if you ask me. He keeps wanting to compete at 176, but dude beat Jordan Sill at 198. That's crazy.
Yeah, it actually is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Another name that I've got down here as well, mate, which came up in the comments. Actually, there's two. Brandon Dye.
Yes.
What about? Yes. Okay, is he someone that has been on your radar at all?
Well, I know he wants to pull. I'd like to pull him too. He believes that he can beat me. I think he's very confident that he can beat me. I'm not so sure that he can beat me. Brandon, I think Brandon is definitely underrated. He is a very strong puller. I think he could really shake some things up. Definitely.
What about Artem Taranenko?
I love Artem. Artem's heavy. I mean,
what took me down this track is where we'd gone with all at Masai.
Yeah.
Obviously, then we spoke about. I mean, let's be honest. Jamie's another one.
Yeah.
Jamie, the recent Jamie, got to be 200 pounds, and did well at that.
Yeah.
But I'm sure his aspirations still lie in the lightweight division. Now, Artem, with the greatest of respect to the guy, I always thought was frame. He's a lightweight guy. He should be in the lightweights. If he's going to excel, it's going to be in the lightweight. So, how do you see Artem's chance? He's got obviously favours the left.
Well, Artem is young,
He is, and hungry.
So
as hell.
He definitely, 2 years ago he was a lightweight. In 2 years from now, he's probably going to weigh 220. But he's one of those guys like Jamie. Jamie tries to put on weight to get heavier. Jamie's got a fast metabolism like me, but Jamie's probably better at managing his nutrition and able to put on weight than I am. Artem really pushes himself to gain weight. You got to respect Artem because he takes on these matches of guys that are a lot bigger and stronger than him,
Yep.
And will just pull anybody, and he'll put on the weight to do it, So I think it'd be really, really tough for Artem to drop down, to 170 pounds.
Have you had much experience pulling with him, mate? Have you pulled with Artem quite a bit?
On the side table, at the 2018 Arnold's, I did place higher than him. I beat him that he had lost to.
Mm-hmm.
But I've never pulled him in a competition. Left-handed, he's beaten some people that I've lost to.
Mm-hmm.
But it's tough to say. It's been two or 3 years since I pulled Artem.
Yeah.
If you look at the guys he's beaten, and he's really, really pulled out some surprises.
Yeah, he has some great showings, doesn't he? Now and again, he's one of those guys, that occasionally pops up and he does well and he's right there and you think, And then, like you say, he will be in a different class and he's less active again. But he's a name that's just below that fringe, He's definitely someone to keep an eye on.
Well, I don't think, and Artem is doing, he's not like me. Artem does arm wrestles for fun. I'm not really having a lot of fun, I arm wrestle because I want it,
You're in pursuit, yeah.
It's not something that I'm doing, I don't, I've said before, I don't like to compete. I love to train. I love getting stronger. I have to compete to prove to myself that I am getting stronger. One of the best feelings of winning the Arnold Classic was like, fuck yeah, my training regimen is right on track. I don't need to change anything, So it's kind of like, Artem does this because he's got his YouTube channel and he loves to make content. And he's having fun with it.
Very talented lad. Very practical, very talented lad.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think Jamie has a lot of fun with it.
Mm-hmm.
Again, this is very serious for me. I take this as, it's just a serious thing, that I love training for, and I love proving that I'm better than I was before. I don't necessarily enjoy competing.
So, I'm conscious we're closing in on the hour mark, mate, for this particular episode. But one of the things I wanted to sort of just go to now is if you could write your own script. Okay, so let's chart out planning that COVID is in the rear view. Okay, and you got the opportunity in the World Arm Wrestling League, and you can write out your first 3 matches or 4 matches. Who are they going to be? Who would you put you against? Who would you get the most satisfaction under the circumstances and the criteria that we've just spoken about there? Who would you want to pull most out of the entire crop? You can pick anyone. Give me your 3 and in what order?
I'd like to pull Sam the most.
Is it just the hammer?
No, I mean he's been proven to be the man. Again, he lost to Tony with an asterisk next to it. So I think if I could choose, I mean, I want to save Stan for last. I would like to take out Mendagas first.
That's huge. I mean, that is huge. I don't think we'll have many people on this show in your weight class that make that statement. I really don't. I can't think of many other people, with the possible exception of Tom, who's a complete nutter and will pull the devil in straps. Outside of Tom, I don't think there's anybody else that's going to come in here and wish for Mendagas Terracetus. Well, they'll be like, fuck that.
No, I mean, the reason that I want to pull him first is that, I think I'll be strongest and fresher then. Mm-hmm. We're probably looking at, pulling 2 weeks apart. My second match, I'm not going to be as strong as I was the first time. So if I I mean, I don't want to pick, easy matches because, it doesn't prove anything.
No.
And I'm not saying any of these guys are easy. But I'd like to pull Mendagas first. I would love to get a win on Mendagas. And then I would like to pull Jamie because Jamie and I go way back. Jamie's a great guy, I think we'll be friends forever.
And he's in a rich vein of form right now, isn't he?
Yeah.
Jamie Sheldon right now is on a tear.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it would be a good match. And, we both trained in California. He started out when I was just getting out.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it would be a great match to have. I would just enjoy that match.
Yeah.
And then I would love to pull Sam for the hammer.
That's a set of three right there, brother. You're not picking bombs there, are you?
Well, I mean, I'm not trying to prove anything to anyone, but I would love to prove it to myself that I deserve. If I beat those three guys, nobody's going to doubt that I'm one of the best in the world.
Yeah, you're definitely in the hunt. It puts you right up there with. I mean, I think straight out of the blocks with a win over Mendagas, that'd be like a statement that'd take some topping. I think that one would resonate around the world, Yeah. Anyone that takes out Mendagas, in a super match 1-on-1, hell of a result for anyone. So it's a high risk strategy, but my God, if you did it,
I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
I mean, if I lose, everybody expects me to lose,
I suppose it depends how you lose, doesn't it? As well. If say you lost a nip and tuck decision. I mean, look at Michael Todd now. He's got in that same high risk strategy. He's an underdog, and probably rightly so. But if he came out of that match having put the brakes on Levan and made him work his balls off, if he got the head nod from Levan, if Levan looks across and be like, bad mother, right there, that's worth, to me in my career, that would always be worth gold,
Oh, yeah.
If you're pulling a monster and they're like acknowledging that you're right there, that's stuff that's better than any gold medal. You can't ever take that away. It's in here, isn't it?
Everybody will remember that forever. And God, you look at pictures of Michael next to him, and he doesn't seem that much bigger than Michael. I mean, I saw a picture where they're fist bumping, and Levan's wrist is like this big. Michael's looks like this big.
I mean, let's be honest. If you're going for a prostate exam, I'd rather have Michael doing it than fucking Levan.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
On an XXL rubber gloves, and I'm on Michael.
I don't think that Michael is that far off of Levan.
Who have you got out to see that match?
God, this is I'm gonna say Michael. I'm sorry. I think that Michael is gonna wear him out. Michael in a super match, forget it. You might get a win on in the first pull or second pull, but man, you got to do it. You got to do it a couple more times. That's not easy.
Not easy at all. So you're in the camp of Mike can get the brakes on him and get the job done.
That's what I think.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, like you say, high risk strategy could pay off. Michael's been in with some really big hitters. He's faced the likes of Denis Iplenkov, Pushka, the very best. You name it. He's faced them. He's pulled them. It'll be interesting, without a shadow of a doubt. So next steps for you, mate, strategy-wise. I mean, who are you getting to work out with? Who do you train with at the moment? I know you're talking about with Herman, who I've got an enormous amount of respect for as an arm wrestler. Herman's a bad man.
Yeah. Well, I paid Herman like $3,000 to come and train at my house for 2 weeks.
Didn't you allow him to live at your place for a while when his house is burned down?
Yeah, well, when his house went to the hurricane. I mean, in 2018, the end of 2018, 2019, my house was destroyed in a flood.
Okay.
So when I won the Arnolds, my house was gone. so we had to rebuild it. And we bought a trailer to live in while we rebuilt the house. And he came and stayed in that. I've got my normal crew in Austin. I drive down and train with Dimitri Kachan once in a while.
Yeah.
Dimitri, Jesus Christ. Whenever I feel like I'll be at practice and I'll be pulling guys at practice that weigh 450 pounds, and I just go right through them. And it's like, at practice, I'm like, God, I'm so fucking strong. And then I go train with Dimitri, and it's like, what the fuck?
Sure.
I mean, I'll do a Mississippi mudslide and Louisiana hop and everything I can against Dimitri, and he just doesn't move. And the guy doesn't look strong at all. But he's a fucking beast. It's crazy. I don't get it.
They're out there, mate.
Yeah.
They're out there. Doubt.
So whenever I'm feeling super strong, I'll pull Dimitri and I'll bring myself down a little bit.
Yeah, give yourself a reality check.
It needs to work.
Hey, good guy to have around you when you're getting ready to face the top knuckles, though. When you're getting ready to face the guys who can do a bit, perfect kind of opportunity to give yourself some hard work, without a doubt.
Yeah.
So, we are coming up to the hour mark. Ladies and gents, absolutely fascinating second interview with Greg. And I think what we're going to do next as well is we'll get you involved with some of the guys we've spoken about. I think we're going to get into this lightweight thing a little bit. Would you be up for that, mate, to come on back on with some of the lightweight guys, maybe yourself and Mindaugas? I think people would really enjoy you two back and forth a little bit.
Mindaugas, he's starting a new life. He's finally moved out of his mom's house. He's finally off the teat. I think he's ready to face a grown man now.
Shots fired. It's on. Absolutely fantastic. I'm sure I'll hook up with Mindaugas and we'll get yourself and a couple of lads on here very soon. Greg, appreciate it, mate. Thank you for taking the time. Really appreciate it. And fascinating insight on the top guys in North America and in some cases the world. But I think you've really set the record straight in terms of what your aspirations are, mate. You're certainly not ducking anyone. That's for damn sure. Coming in against the absolute elite guys in your weight class at world level. Fantastic. Greg Gray. Ladies and gents, if you want to see more of this fella in the WL, it's probably coming. Go check out his Instagram page. Greg, you got anything on YouTube that these guys can see as well, mate? You put much up there?
I've got a bunch of videos. I'm starting to add more content to, Herman and I are on there a few videos, but I like my YouTube channel. I'm not so serious on it.
What's the channel if these guys want to search you out? Where can they find you?
God, I don't know.
You're like Travis Bajan.
It's like something on YouTube. Type in Greg Gray, you'll find it, I think.
It'll pop up. Ladies and gents, if this is your first time to Supernatural Strength Channel, please like, share, subscribe. And until we see you next time right here, take it easy, peeps.
What grabs your eyes on that, if anything?